Hello learners, welcome to today's lesson. This is Form 3 Mathematics under quadratic equations, but we are going to look at the solution of a quadratic equation by completing square method. The question reads, use the method of completing the square to solve the quadratic equation, and the quadratic equation we have is 4x squared minus 9x plus 5 is equal to 0. If you look at this question here, this is a quadratic equation, and we know a quadratic equation is usually in the form of a x squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0, where a, b, and c are the constants. Now what we are going to do when looking at the working to this question, if I bring the question here, we have 4x squared minus 9x plus 5 is equals to 0. The first step in working out the question of a quadratic which is quadratic in nature, it is to ensure that the coefficient of x squared is 1. So to make the coefficient of x squared 1, we are going to start by dividing all through by 4. And if you divide all through by 4, this 4 and this 4 will cancel, so that we have our x squared minus this one is 9 over 4x plus 5 over 4, and this one is going to be equal to 0. From here now, we move the value of c to the other side. So if we move c to the other side, that is our step number 2, we are going to have our x squared minus 9 over 4x, and this must be able to give us, if we move this to the other side, since it's a positive, it is going to be negative 5 over 4. From there now, we add half b squared on both sides. So let us get our half b squared. So we know this is our a, this is our b, and this is our c. So our b is minus 9 over 4. So if we take half times our b, and our b is negative 9 over 4 squared, we are going to have 1 times negative 9 will give us negative 9, then 2 times 4 will give us 8, and this one is squared. So this is our half b squared, which we are going to add on both sides. So going down, we are going to take our x squared, minus 9 over 4x, then plus negative 9 over 8 squared, and this one is going to give us negative 5 over 4. Then of course we add half b squared, which is negative 9 over 8 squared. From here now, we are going to write this expression as a perfect square, and for us to do that, we are going to ignore this linear term so that we can take the two squares. This is x squared, this is minus 9 divided by 8 squared, which can be written as x minus 9 over 8 into 1 square, and this must give us, this side now we are going to have negative 5 divided by 4 plus. Now we complete this side. Negative 9 squared is going to be 81 positive, and 8 squared is going to be equal to 61. So if you take now this side, we are going to have x minus 9 over 8 squared, and this one is going to be equal to, if you take your calculator, then you try to add negative 5 divided by 4 plus 81 divided by 64. It is going to give us 1 over 64. From here now, to remain with x minus 9 over 8, we are going to take the square root on both sides, such that square and the square root goes, and in this case we are going to remain with x minus 9 over 8, which is going to be equal to, the square root of 1 over 64 is going to be plus or minus 1 out of 8. In this case, if we move this to the other side, we are going to have x, which is equivalent to, we begin with this one, which is now positive 9 out of 8 once it crosses the equal sign, then of course plus or minus 1 out of 8. So the first value of x in this case, our first value of x is going to be, equal to 9 out of 8, now plus 1 out of 8. Remember, our LCM is going to be 8. So once the LCM is the same, we can add the numerators together such that we have 9 plus 1 is 10. So if you take the common factor between 10 and 8, and of course that is 2, 10 by 2 will give us 5, and 8 by 2 will give us 4, and that is the first value of x. Another value of x is going to be equal to 9 over 8 minus now 1 over 8, which is going to be equal to, the LCM is 8, you take 9 minus 1 is going to be 8, and therefore our other value of x would be 1. Therefore we can conclude and say x is going to be 5 over 4, and our x can also be equal to 1, and by so doing you'd have solved that particular question very well. If you have any question, kindly go to the comment section, send us your questions, and we shall be glad to address them accordingly. Thank you and welcome to our channel.